Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbie. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of GRCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. On this platform, we discuss authentic urban news across the diaspora and what's happening in Africa. If you're new to us, um, or if this is your first time, please hit that like button, share, and subscribe to my YouTube page. We encourage our listeners worldwide to engage with us by leaving a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast. Help make our audio podcast and our video podcast go viral by sharing my YouTube page with all of your Facebook friends and any other social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Disclaimer: this content is for educational and informational purpose only. It is based on public available reports and verified media sources. We fully comply with YouTube's community guidelines. We do not promote violence, hate, or misinformation in any form. This podcast is available in three forms: audio, video, and also as a written text in order for us to reach our audience. Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast is our Black media component. I would like to encourage my listeners to subscribe to my Medium transcript. That way you can follow along with my presentation. I provide my Medium transcript in the comment section below this audio podcast. I want to do more than just do news and social commentary, but at this time, this is where I'm at. Again, it doesn't matter how bad I would like to get my Christian business up and running in the city of Chicago. Without financial support from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I am unable to do my God-given assignment, which is to create the best African American business within the United States of America. And that would be the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. But I won't do that by myself. It's going to take GRCAM members. We're the only one that's going to have to build this. No one else is going to build that for us. That's why I created this platform to broadcast my vision and plan beyond Black Chicago. I'm trying to reach like-minded Black Americans as well as like-minded African immigrants, those who are brave enough and smart enough that meet the qualifications that I'm looking for you all to make yourself known to me. Again, I've been pushing my vision and plan for the past 33 years, and I'm still on first base. It's a doggone shame. I don't like it. But hey, it is what it is. Now let's keep it a buck. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from buying my revised book. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from purchasing items from my virtual store. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from donating to my film project. That's a personal choice. That's Willie Lynch in real time, ladies and gentlemen. My film project is my last attempt to try to do something positive for my racial group, Black Americans, before I cut and run to Africa. Upcoming events. Thursday, October 30th, we will have guest speaker Pastor Ruth from Zambia. Please mark your calendar for our next monthly virtual interactive conference, which will be Saturday, October 25th, 2025. Join us in this virtual interactive conference. Everyone on my Facebook page, everyone in my social groups. Although we don't have a physical building at this time, we are using this technology to broadcast what we're trying to do in Black Chicago and beyond. On this platform, we're genuine, sincere, transparent, and authentic. This evening, this event will help expand your network, enhance your profile visibility, and make more meaningful connections with the global community. Theme: understanding global white supremacy and what your CAM members can do about it. Where? Zoom Live. Time: 2 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. We are looking for 5 or more people on my Facebook page or people that's in my social groups on Facebook. Um, we want 5 or more people. And if you're interested in being on the panel, then please send me a message to my Facebook inbox along with your email address, and then I will send you specific instructions about being on the panel. Thanks. Today's presentation, entitled, quote, "The Trump Administration Targets Black Americans in Memphis." The second topic: corporations are at war with Black Americans. And the third topic: colonizers found Julius Malema guilty. He faced 15 years. Will Black South Africans allow this? Our first topic: the Trump administration targets Black Americans in Memphis. Now, before I go any further and start reading my presentation, I am going to pull up a few slides that I want you all to listen to or watch. I'm not going to play the videos. I'm just going to point them out how you can navigate on using my Medium page. That's very important. Those of you that's listening to me on Spotify, again, I recommend that you do is you would click on the YouTube icon, and that's going to take you to my YouTube page. So that way you can have access to what I'm talking about in terms of having access to my Medium transcript. Because when I write out my speeches, I do that so that way I can stay on point. And, I do my research and all that stuff. So I want to present my stuff, my material. This is the best that I can do at this point in time because this is where I'm at. Again, I would love to have my business, fully functional and, in the African American community. But again, uh, you have to get this book to be sold. I'm trying to promote my revised book, quote, "The Solution for Black America: Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America, second edition." And I'm calling upon everyone, all of my listeners, domestically as well as internationally. Please support me. Read my story. I recommend that you purchase my ebook for $9.99. Again, you can find that information on my Medium transcript located in the comment section below this audio podcast. And so that's the stuff I'm going to try to show some of you all that's listening to this podcast. Now, I am mindful that those of you that's on the African continent, um, you can't really look at the videos that much because your bundles, it eats away at your bundles. So that's how come I try to give you that option to just listen to it on Spotify. So And I'm trying to do a like a balancing act, so to speak. All right, with that being said, just bear with me. I want to show you a few slides. Um, we're going to, okay, let's see. Going to look at my medium transcript first. Righty. And so here it is. This is what you're going to see when you scroll down to the comment section below this audio podcast. It's going to be actually on my YouTube page, and you're going to click on the link, and it's going to take you to this. So I always, where I have this cursor right here, I have always pinned my current speech or transcript. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that. And so this is what, my presentation is all about right here. And so this is what you're going to pull up. And I need you all to follow me on here on Medium, get my numbers up, and this is going to make it a little easier for you too. So what you do is you scroll down as I recommend, you skip all of that. You hit this X, to clear that. So yes, my speeches are long, see, because I'm dedicated to what I'm doing, I put in the time to do the research. I look at the different my different sources, and I just try to come up with giving you a professional presentation. But bottom line, again, I'm just trying to, encourage my listeners to become GRCAM members. So that way we can move from behind the computer. I'm here to recruit brave and smart people, um, like-minded Black Americans, brave and smart, like-minded African immigrants throughout the United States of America. Yes, things are pretty bad that's going on out here, with the ICE raids and all that stuff. But hey, it is what it is. This is the white man's country. He's going to do what he wants to do, regardless. All the marching and protesting and all that, it is. So here it is where I say showing proof. So this is my receipts, you know what I'm saying? So um I just wanted to show you all that, right? And some of the TikTok videos, they're interesting. So, if you don't mind, I recommend you check them all out. You know, this is all the stuff that, you know, I did my research on. We're going to come back to this one right here, this article called Shocking. It says 10 African countries with the highest white population. Basically, the former colonizers, they really haven't left Africa. They still there, you know, and that is a problem. That's a big problem. But I'm here in America, so first, that's why I got to get my business popping here in America first for credibility. So when I do come to Africa, I can come with bringing economic tangibles in terms of creating jobs. Can't help everybody, like I say. I'm gonna do the best I can. I have a multi-million-dollar idea, but unfortunately, Black Americans, they specifically Black Chicagoans, they taking me for joke. That's why, my business, I've been pushing this for the past 33 years. standing on business, trying to do something positive and productive to build something. I want qualified people to be on my management team. And I'm just trying to keep it real, keep it 100. I want to make sure we vet everybody, that we don't have con artists and all that kind of stuff up in the business to bring us down. I ain't with that. So, but anyhow, these are the different sources and stuff and things like that. Again, I come fully prepared. So this is just part one that I wanted to show you, right? Again, please follow me on my Medium page and make arrangements with me to come on this platform, especially if you are a Black artist or African artist. If as it pertains to being an artist, I'm looking for I'm willing to give authors, um, I would say poets, musicians, an opportunity to promote to promote your music, to promote your books, and if you have a small business, to promote your business, and if you're I would say a Christian leader, if you have a small ministry, you can make arrangements with me to share a 30-minute sermon with my listeners from the global community. Again, I want to share my platform. I'm not just on here about, just selling my book and trying to um, ask people to donate to the film project. That's important. But I want to, try to um, share this platform. So that way it can be win-win. And also when we get this business up and running, I want to do the same thing, but I am going to charge a small fee because I'm going to have to pay my employees. And everything I do is not going to be for free. I have to make a living too. You know what I'm saying? That's why we're going to have a for-profit business as well as a nonprofit business. We're going to keep things in, right? Okay. Now I'm going to show you. Um, this is another site that I use. It's called Substack. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. So on here, uh, it's going to be a little easier, for me to, just show you some things. So again, this is my transcript that I uploaded over here. Same thing, that you saw on Medium. Because yeah, I put my stuff out there, but this is like my little backup page and things like that. But the reason I'm showing you this way because it's a little more, to me, it's more user friendly. So I'm scrolling down, see how long this presentation is. So you guys, bear with me. So this is one of the sources that I use in my presentation. It's called Hype Plus. Um, and check that out. Look at that video. You know, uh, this is my first one that I use right here. So, but yeah, check out this video from Hype Plus News. I think that's very interesting. Again, these are the TikTok videos that's talking about, the ICE raids here in Chicago, things like that. But all I can just say to my listeners, especially, Black Americans, us from the grassroots. We're not going to get caught up in that propaganda. Those some of this stuff is, Democrats is trying to say, see, that's why you all should have voted for Kamala. You wouldn't be going through this stuff. But like I say, hey, the Democrats wasn't offering us any tangibles. You know what I'm saying? So forget it. Shoot. You're not getting my vote. Shoot. You up here benefiting everybody else is benefiting off of our votes. So until the Democrats, deliver, we want that anti-black hate crime bill. And we also want um lineage-based cash payment reparations for descendants of American slaves. You know what I'm saying? Slash freedmen. My ancestors helped build this country, and then you're treating us like, we're fourth and fifth class citizens. It's just ridiculous. Y'all got to pay up. It's just that simple. But anyway, what I wanted to show you. Oh, and this guy right here, like I say, I'm open to different, perspectives and stuff. Listen to what this guy has to say. His name is Paul, he goes by the name of Paul. And the T stands for Texas, 890. So, he was saying some interesting things. You know what I'm saying? And then, I talk about Julius Malema, this is the case that this is the video that I listened to. So that was very interesting. And, it gave me some ideas what to talk about. But basically, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I wanted to show you. You have to check out, asking my listeners, check out this video. It's called, again, it says Shocking 10 African countries with the highest white population. So I'm going to click on here, but I'm not trying to listen. Just, yeah. So clicked on here, right? So we're going to scroll down and we're going to look at this right here. So these are the 10 African nations that has the most white population. And again, a lot of them didn't leave there from, those are the former colonizers. You know what I'm saying? And the reason I'm stressing this because I'm gonna come back to, some videos about what's going on over there in the UK. They're trying to tell Africans and Afro-Caribbeans, that, they don't want, for you to go back home and, you can't have any visa and all that stuff. Well, Africans, you all got to use that same energy on these former colonizers that's all up in the country. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop being passive and all that stuff. This is how come Black Americans we made things move here in the United States of America. We stood up to these white supremacist financial elites. We couldn't flee. But yeah, I would say not that many, but few of us, went to Canada, to escape American slavery. Also, we went to I would say Mexico, trying to get away, but a majority of us stayed. Bottom line, and so those of you that's here, you could have went to Europe, you could have went to Australia or anywhere else, but you decided to come to the United States, and that was because of my ancestors that fought and died to have you all to be able to become to migrate over to this country, due to history. That was part of the civil rights era, fight for immigrants, especially, African immigrants and Afro Caribbeans and Afro Latinos from Latin America, which is also called South America. But bottom line, this is what I'm saying. So Tanzania, that's where they have a large white population. Now I can't pronounce this word, so it is what it is. Number eight, Zambia, Botswana, Kenya, Mozambique, and Angola, Zimbabwe, and Namibia. Now, Namibia, and then number one is South Africa. And like I say, once I get my business up and running here in Chicago, I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to South Africa. You're there to do that. I want to go there and help my people and stuff, and create jobs for Black South Africans. You know what I'm saying? It would be called Grakai of South Africa. But that's why I need Black South Africans. Um, yes, purchase my book. That's important. But also leave comments in my YouTube on my YouTube page. Let's say about the topic that we're talking about tonight. Well, sorry, today. So leave comments in the comment section about what I'm going to be talking about, and share it with all your friends. Help it go viral. You know what I'm saying? That's going to help us move um, to the next level. Um, so, all right. So again, that's basically what I wanted to show you with that. Let me get out of this. Um, this is another thing I would like to show you. But this is my LinkedIn page and stuff like that. And so I'm finna go back to my Substack page. Uh, and then again, when that comes up, you could also befriend be friends with me over here as well. You'll hit posts, and then you will hit. This is my current post over here. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll down because basically I want to show you some videos. I'm not gonna really play them, but so you can see it on here about these white supremacists, financial elite, they're telling, Africans, oh, we don't want you in our country, go back home and all that garbage. And yet they over there on our continent. You know what I'm saying? Um, all right. So, like this right here, for example, it says punishment. More African countries have to pay $15,000 to get a US visa. See how that is? And you guys on the African continent, you need to treat these Europeans the same, and Americans, the Western world, the Western people. You need to treat them the same way. Give them that same energy that they given us. Real. Stop being scared of them. Long as you're afraid of them, they're gonna continue to screw you over. They're gonna continue to walk all over you, treating you, as fourth and fifth class citizens in your own homeland. So right here, look at this. Now I'm not gonna play it, but you see it. Yeah, so that's what I'm showing you this stuff so that way you can check these videos out on your own. And that's how come I like looking at it from this website because I don't have to go into it. But anyway, it says United Kingdom plans new rules of Caribbean and African migrants. So it says no UK citizenship. Go home. You need to tell those Europeans that's on the African continent, especially that's is they say Ukrainians and the Israelis, people from Israel, they're flocking, Cape Town, just doing the most. They won't take their behind to Europe, but they want to go in Africa. The reason why is because God bless us with those natural resources, diamonds and gold and things like that. That's what's keeping them people rich. That's what global African family. If we lose Africa, we lose everything. And it's really Africa that's keeping these Western nations, including America, a first world nation, because that's why they're there. That's why ever since the Europeans stepped foot on the African continent, Africa has been catching hell. So we're gonna have to, we have to work together. We have to chill with that tribalism, and we have to check these Europeans up front. Hey, look, there ain't gonna be no double standard shoot because they're no different than us. They just got it, it's just a pigmentation, but we're melanated. And again, like I say here in America, descendants of American slave, we're treated as third, fourth class citizens. But, I'm trying to teach my people we don't have to be that way. We need to form an alliance with African immigrants that's already here. Get along with them, build an alliance, build this business together. The Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago, which will be a physical building where people can come. We want to serve the African American community. We want to become, I would say, an economic base, bring in revenue for the community, create jobs for our Black youth to keep them out of the streets and off and out of gangs. That's all I'm trying to do. It's not easy. And that's what I've been called to do. All right. I don't want to, get off into, talking a lot. And so anyway, here it is with shout out to Burkina Faso. This is how much money that France owes um Burkina Faso. They owe France owe that's 846 billion. That's after the so-called independence that they've been ripping Burkina Faso off. And remember, now that's just one African nation. They control 14 African nations. So that's just one. And then up here, now look at the state of France. France is in trouble if you look in the different videos, their economy. Well, it is what it is. I'm glad to see Africans are waking up. Um, and so this is the other stuff, that I found. All right. So I have, let me see what I'm looking for right here. I am going to click on this article because I want to prove, to my listeners that Black Americans, we have a $2 trillion spending. So I'm like, hey, don't take my word for it. Look at this article. You know, first of all, I want you to see that it says 2025, okay? So that way you'll know that this is current. And then right here, I just rounded off. I don't say the 2.1, I just say 2 trillion, just rounding it off. So that's good. But a lot of because of the slave mentality within Black society, we spend all our money on these corporations. Um, we spend our money on all these other groups, and people like myself, we're, just withering on the vine. So I'm on a shoestring budget, barely making it, and yet I have a multi-million dollar idea. This was frustrating. Um, all right. Thank you all for, just, being patient. Um, bear with me. Okay. This is our first topic. I keep reading a lot of comments online from people on the left saying, I told you, you all are going to be next. We were never off the menu. The reason why a lot of Black Americans were not motivated to vote for the Democrats is because they have done absolutely nothing, specifically for Black Americans since the Civil Rights era. I'm glad that Black Americans are starting to heed to my advice and demand from these Black politicians economic tangibles in the form of lineage-based cash payment reparations for descendants of American slaves slash freedmen. And also, we want an anti-Black hate crime bill in exchange for our votes. Now, according to the exit polls of 2024, Black women voted 92% for Democrats, while Black men voted 77%. So if you look at the exit polls for Latinos, they voted against their own interests and voted for the Trump administration. That from so by them doing that, he promised to deport their families. So if anybody should be taking the blame, it should be Latinos who voted against their own family members and their own interests. It's not Black Americans' responsibility to save America. We did enough, and we demand our reparations from this nation, and we're gonna get it. We will get it. But like I say, I don't want to just sit around and just be, I I want to work on trying to get the Kyle Chicago up and running. That's my main thing because I'm gonna push for our reparations when we're on the continent as well. When we expand the Kyle Chicago, because they have American businesses over there. You see how I showed you the different African nations, but yeah, they're all over Africa pretty much. But this is an American experiment. But this multicultural society is not working because every culture will want to be dominant. That is why God gave each racial group their own homeland. He did. And I forgot to put that in my presentation, but that's okay because I'm gonna share that with you all right now. If you look at Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 11 through 16, from the King James Version, just read that alone, and that will explain to you that God gave I'm gonna say Europe to Europeans, Asia to the yeah, to the Asian people, and Africa to Black Africans. But it's these white supremacist financial elite that didn't have anything going on over there in Europe. They set up here and you know did the most, and that's what got them rich, and that's why their system is falling apart. Um, the only reason the white supremacist financial elites brought our ancestors from Africa to the New World was to help build up their economy. Yet they hate us with a passion, but it doesn't make sense to me at all. It doesn't make sense at all. You, yeah, you claim that you hate us, but you're all up in our continent, and enough is enough already. That's why Burkina Faso, was able to kick out the French. People, we're tired of these Europeans bugging all the time, especially the racist ones. And so, like I said, just the only reason I'm trying to do this, create this business, is for my brothers and sisters that don't have the finances to just up and leave. This is my gift to Black Americans to let them know that we were here, that we want to build, like I say, the best African American business within the United States. And again, just expand it over to the African continent so that way we can um, expand this business beyond, cyberspace. Um, um, so I found an article, like I say, and a video clip from MSNBC entitled, quote, Stephen Miller tells law enforcement they are unleashed in Memphis, unquote. To read the full article, watch the video clip, just go to my Medium transcript located in the comment section below this audio podcast. Click on the link, then scroll down to show and prove. We know that Memphis, Tennessee is predominantly a black city, but it's a red state. We can assume that they will be targeting Black Americans. The governor of Tennessee requested that the Trump administration come to Memphis to help fix their crime issue. Memphis has a long history dealing with racism. Memphis was a hotspot during the civil rights era. I also lost my second brother in Memphis due to urban violence, which I talk about in my revised book. The Trump administration is using the a AF, sorry, ATF, DEA, FBI, and ICE to go after the worst criminal offenders in the United States. Why is the Trump administration not focusing on improving the economy? If you want to say what's failing, law enforcement is failing, and the governor Tennessee is failing. The mayor of Memphis is failing. The city council is failing because remember, crime is regulated to poverty and opportunity. We have talked about this. You can look at any neighborhood in America, look at the income rate, then compare that to the crime rates. For example, look at low income, middle income, and upper income. You will see that in each bracket you go, the crime rate will decrease. When you have a system that if someone goes to jail and once they are released, they cannot get a job due to their criminal, um, due to, like their background. I'm gonna just say a criminal background, but they bend the rules for illegal immigrants. And illegal immigrants can get a job quicker than a brother who went to prison. That's messed up. We should never compare ourselves to any other group because these other groups have not been deliberately sabotaged by the US government. I watched a video from I Plus News entitled, quote, Black People Respond to ICE Raiding, Black Chicago. Told y'all we're next, unquote. To watch the full video, just go to my Medium transcript located in the comment section below this audio podcast. Click on the link, then scroll down to show and prove. The recent ICE raids in Chicago and how Black Americans should deal with this tactic. ICE agents came for our children in Chicago on the south side community called South Shore. ICE pulled zip, zip ties on our children, treating them like criminals on a school night. When when will we have enough? Say enough will be enough. I want to have a real conversation with all my listeners in America because this will happen across the United States in urban areas with a large Black population. It's happening right now in Chicago. It happened, in DC, and it's gonna go. It's turning into an occupation, just like in Iraq and Afghanistan. Too many of us are watching it unfold, just like another episode of a reality show. In Chicago's South Shore neighborhood, ICE conducted raids that traumatized the entire community. They didn't just knock on doors and ask questions. They dragged children out of their homes, placed them in zip ties, and held them for hours on a school night. Our children. These aren't the actions of a government protecting its citizens. These are tactics of an occupying military force sending a message. Nowhere is safe, not even your home. And Chicago is not an isolated incident. We saw this happen in Washington D.C. Um, aggressive material, um, um, but material. Oh, sorry, tongue twisted. Material, material. Oh, sorry, tongue twisted with this word. Material. Oh, anyhow, some artillerized tactics deploring against innocent Black people and others who were simply existing in spaces they had a right to be in. The TikTok videos circulating online shows a level of force and intimidation that should make every American question, do you want to continue raising your children in such a nation? But Here's people, but here people are complaining online, posting their outrage, sharing videos, writing long captions about injustice, and then going right back to their daily lives as nothing happened. The Trump administration wants a George Floyd response. They're baiting us. They're provoking us. They're creating conditions that would justify them declaring martial law and suspending the midterm elections. Massive protests in the streets, potential civil unrest, and suddenly they have the perfect excuse to consolidate power even further. That's the trap, and we cannot fall for it, family. So, what's the alternative? What's the strategy that actually works? when you're facing white supremacist financial elites who control nearly every level of power in the country. You hit them where it hurts, in their pockets. When we look back at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he taught us how to deal with them without acting a fool. The Montgomery bus boycott lasted 381 days, and it worked because it hit them economically. Not the speeches alone, not the marches alone, but the economic pressure that made it impossible for them to ignore our demands. This time we're implementing, I'm just saying the grassroots community activist movement. We're trying to promote a powerful form of protest available to us in this capitalist society, a massive coordinated economic boycott. We don't need to contribute another dollar to these mega corporations. So I suggest that we don't go to these restaurants unless you're supporting small Black businesses in your community. I'm not talking about pretending to be local. I'm not talking about corporations that franchise into your neighborhood. I'm talking about the actual moms and pop establishments where your money circulates within the community and support Black families. No large corporations, no chain stores, period. Um, it's just a suggestion, y'all. I know a lot of people ain't gonna want to heed to what I'm saying, but this is how we're gonna be able to fight back. So hear me out. So you have to stop going to these clubs, lounges, or bars because you're helping fund the same economic system that's um, oppressing us. Understand that every dollar that you spend in these establishments is dollars used to weaponize our oppression or fund foreign wars. These corporate these companies remain silent or complacent about policies that are harming Black Americans. So, so I suggest that we stop flying on airlines unless it's absolutely necessary. Business travel that your job requires, that's okay. But vacation flights, weekend getaways, trips, you're taking just for fun, please stop doing that because the airline industry is deeply connected to the broader economic ecosystem that supports the current power structure. When airlines revenues drop significantly, it sends shockwaves through multiple sectors of the economy. The people in the Trump administration aren't public servants in the traditional sense. These are individuals whose primarily allegiance is to wealthy donors in order for them to obtain power. But their vulnerability is that they need us to spend money in their economy. They are descendants of slave owners, and they obtain their wealth off the slave labor of our ancestors, descendants of American slaves. The American empire was built on consumption, and every dollar we don't spend is a threat to their economic foundation, which is their power structure. When we boycott and withhold our money for a length of time, then those billionaires eventually become broke. We've seen this happen when companies that face consumer backlash due to racist employees. We've watched stock prices plummet when public disemployment shifts. The power dynamics only seem fixed until they are exposed publicly, and economic boycott is the most effective, destructive tool available to us. But until Black Americans get on code nationwide and be committed to this level of economic resistance, things in America will continue to get worse. That's what I keep saying. And you know, if this business, if Cacao Chicago was up and running, I would say back in the 90s when I was preaching all this stuff, when I was doing street ministry and all that good stuff, I believe it would have been up and running in at least 10 cities today and in at least in 5 African nations. But that didn't happen. We still got a little time left to get this business up and running while we still have a little time left. It's my it's my hope and prayers and all that good stuff that I can connect with like-minded Black Americans and like-minded African immigrants. That's again why I'm doing all this stuff. Let me continue. We've seen a population that will express outrage online but won't make any meaningful sacrifice in their daily life. There's they're seeing people who will share videos of children in zip ties and then go out shopping the next day like nothing happened. We must participate in the midterm election and record in large numbers to remove many of them out of office. Gurkham is calling on Black Americans to push for the delineation of large corporations through economic boycott and participate in midterm elections in 2026. The midterms are critical and our, our turnout needs to be unprecedented. Here's what needs to be understood about power. We have it because we have the numbers. The only reason we feel powerless is because our power is dispersed, unorganized, and undermined by people that's in the pockets of the white supremacist financial elites. But when we move as a voting bloc, our economic and political power will become unstoppable. The challenge is that it requires discipline and sacrifice. Unless Black Americans embrace my vision and plan, then things in America will continue to deteriorate. And like I say, Black America has two options at this point in time: either embrace annihilation or embrace survival. And again, I only want to connect with those that want to survive and want to become GRCAM members. That's real. The occupation and raids will expand to even more urban cities with a large Black population. The aggressive tactics becoming even more aggressive. Remember, the, the Trump administration want us in the streets. They're prepared for street protests. They have the militarized, militarized police force, the riot gear, the legal frameworks to justify crackdowns. They have been handling street protests for decades, but they're not prepared for a massive economic boycott that America has never seen before. This strategy is outside their standard protocol. How do you material just bear with me. How do you It's the word that I have a hard time trying to pronounce. But materialize against people who refuse to fund your system. How do you arrest economic resistance? You can't. Why it's so powerful and why they don't want you to realize um, the power that we have and our options. Corporations own our political leaders. The campaign contributions and the lobbyists are the revolving door between corporate boardrooms and political offices. It's all adds up to a system where elected officials are more accountable to corporate interests than ordinary law abiding citizens. But when a massive boycott hits these corporations, and those quarter earnings begin to drop, those same corporate leaders will get our politician, our political leaders in line real fast. The path towards forward towards requires courage, discipline, and unity. We have to teach the next generation about resistance, about sacrifice for um, for the collective good. If we were truly tired when we have reached that breaking point where enough is enough, we already been implementing the strategy I laid out in my revised book. We've already we would have already organized block by block, community by community, coordinating our economic resistance and planning our electoral strategy. But again, Black Americans, they ain't reading my story. So, it is what it is. Things just gonna get worse. And unfortunately, I got to deal with it because I'm on a shoestring budget. I can't just up and run. I have to deal with it. But again, before, like I say, I leave, I want to make sure we get this business popping. The question isn't whether this approach will work. History has already answered that question. The Montgomery bus boycott worked. The economic pressure campaign of the civil rights movement worked. International boycott have toppled regimes and changed policies. We know it works. The real question is, are you ready to do that work, or are you just going to continue complaining online while our children are being put in zip ties and and our communities getting occupied? Choice is yours. Why don't the Trump administration bring together all the financial minds in the government and the private sector and try to fix this economy so that every American can benefit? But with that, but with this administration, their focus is only on the billionaire class. That's the only people that matters to them. It went from targeting illegal immigrants to now criminalizing American citizens. At least these illegal immigrants have a homeland to return to. They have embassies here that can advocate for them. According to Stephen Miller, when he used the term criminal or gang members, he's speaking in code about Black youth. The only way these white supremacist financial elites can put you back into slavery is by labeling us as criminals, as you can, so that you can, so that they can put us in prison. That's a loophole they created in the 13th Amendment. That loophole should never have been there. And Black Americans have never collectively challenged it. We talked about it here and there, but we never collectively challenged to have it removed. The private and state prisons don't have to pay inmates anything in prison. If you don't work, then they'll write you up, then put you in solitary confinement and all that. This is why the white supremacist financial elites want to put more Black men in prison for our prison labor. Only the far right white supremacist financial elites can wake up Black Americans because many of our people are stubborn and stiff necked. Many Black Americans are comfortable living in captivity. You don't mind being treated as third and fourth class citizens. Ask me how I know. Just look at my revised book. It's been on Amazon now for 13 years and still barely selling. Truth be told, Black Americans don't want a solution. A majority of Black Americans have become Americanized and comfortable in their captivity. They are all right with white white Americans running everything. If they just give you a job and you can party all weekend long, then you're fine. They can they can run everything for the next 100 years for all you care because you are comfortable being in captivity. But the American empire is slowly falling. Just look at what's happening in France. Ever since Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger kicked out the French from those African nations, and others also followed. Other African nations followed behind them. France is on the brink of economic collapse. Why? Because African youth are waking up on the game Western nations have been doing for centuries on the continent. Black Americans are, sorry, Black Africans are reclaiming their continent, and as a result, the former colonizers are feeling the pain. It's going to get worse for Black Americans over here. We are currently sitting ducks. We don't have an anti Black hate crime bill. I thank God that African youth are rising up because Africa will never be free if they remain comfortable. But in America, many Black Americans don't want to be free, and that's on them. My message is not for them. Everywhere they go, the white supremacist financial elites cause death and destructions. For example, in Australia, it was a black nation until Europeans arrived. This was called the Black War. And I cited that, under show and prove, so you can look that up. The Aboriginal Tasmanians, which is the Aboriginal people of Australia, the frequent mass killings and nearly destruction of the Aboriginal Tasmanians are regarded by some contemporary historians as a genocide of Tasmanian people by Europeans. In Namibia, a country near South Africa, it was colonized by Germans in 1884 and was known as German Southwest Africa. The Namibian people took up arms against the ruthless German settlers because they was trying to take more of their land. It's always about, that's what I'm saying. These low down people coming to other people's countries feel all entitled, and we didn't it's not like we invited them to come there, and we didn't do anything to those people. So that's why I get, it's a turnoff. This is what makes a lot of our people upset. We try to be nice to them, and they still, just want to just, be a pest. If you don't like a person, you stay the hell away from them. The German settlers ordered the extinction of the natives, which was clearly a genocide in what has been called the quote first genocide of the 20th century unquote. The Germans systematically killed 10,000 Nabians, half of the population. The survivors were subject to a policy of dispossession, deportation, forced labor, racial segregation, and discrimination in a system that, in many ways, for, foreshadowed the apartheid establishment in South Africa in 1948. They did the exact same thing to the natives in North America, Canada, the Caribbean, and Brazil, and every place else that they went. Now explain to me how these white supremacists get along with anybody, because they have a long track record of stealing people's land and resources, which causes wars with everyone they come in contact with. They are all they are all seeing the global white supremacy system starting to fall apart. The whole system is based on money and theft, land theft. What's happening in America is about moving Black Americans urban, out of these major urban cities. Take all the properties that they can get for cheap, which is called urban gentrification. I want to make money. I want to make money too, but I don't want to make money at the expense of harming others in the process. But that's what the white supremacist financial elites do. According to the Bible, First Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, the love of money is the root of all evil. These white supremacist financial elites love money. That's why their soul is corrupt and everything they do is through the lens of money. This is why their world is unraveling. And we are witnessing this in real time. They have no love in their heart. This is why they don't want to give us our reparations. There's nothing wrong with making money the right way so that you can feed your family. But when you are scamming people out of their life savings, that's a problem. These people don't care about the economy. I don't want CAM members getting caught up with chasing the bag. Don't make the money. Let the money make them. Okay, basically what I'm saying. Don't make the money make you. Please do not adopt the mindset of the colonizers. Let's lest the judgment that is coming upon them will also come upon you. They are a commercialized race of people. They will harm their own people for $1. They don't like poor whites. I believe that healthcare should be a human right. Hospitals should not be making profit off of someone's health issue. I discussed this in my revised book that the American healthcare industry focus more on making $1 than healing people. There's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the fruits of your labor, but don't rip somebody off just to get money. The reason why they allowed illegal immigrants to come here is to pay them lower wages, or I'm gonna just say slave wages. But another reason why they allowed them to come over here is because the American government helped destabilize their governments and their economy. Using a spiritual perspective, every single attack we're witnessing against our people, against the poor, against the vulnerable in this country, we need to talk about the love of money and how it has become the driving force behind policies that are destroying lives, communities, and the very soul of the United States of America. Let me start with what the Bible tells us because this is not new. Jesus slash Joshua warns us about the uh, how the accumulation of wealth, the obsession with having more than the next person, distracts humanity from their purpose and accountability. The love of money makes people forget that they will return to dust, that they will stand before their maker, that every policy they signed, every life they destroyed for profit will be accounted for. And again, according to First Timothy, verse chapter 10, verse First Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, it states, for quote, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some convey after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through it with many sorrows, unquote. Now let's break down. Now let's break this down in modern times. When a person loves money more than people, the soul becomes corrupt at its core. You see, when you love money more than human being, you stop seeing people. You stop seeing human beings. People become commodities. Children become inventories. Communities become markets. Suffering becomes an opportunity. Every human interaction gets filtered through one question: how can I monetize this? How can I extract value from this pain? This is the spiritual and psychological reality of what's happening when greed takes the throne of the heart. The white supremacist financial elites view their view others people suffering as their opportunity. And this is exactly what they're witnessing right now with this current administration. Every single move they make, every policy they push, every community they target. When you follow the money trail, you will find the motive. They don't move unless they have a way to make money. This is not governance. This is racketeering with a government letterhead. For example, the private prison corporation is where the mask is uncovered. These corporations needs bodies. They need human beings in cages to maintain their profit margins, to keep their shareholders happy, to justify their existence. They have contact with the government that guarantees a minimum 70% occupancy rate. Just think about that for a minute. They have agreement that requires a certain number of human beings to be incarcerated, or the government has to pay a penalty. This is the business model. Human suffering as a revenue stream. So when you hear this administration talk about stopping crime, when you hear them talk about being tough on crime, when you watch them roll out these aggressive enforcement policies, understand what you really witnessing. You're watching them fulfill contracts. You're watching them deliver inventory to their business partners. Everything is transactional. And when private prison corporation approached the Trump administration with their proposition, he saw an opportunity not to make America safer, not to help communities, but to make more money and consolidate power. But Stephen Miller publicly said the quiet part out loud. After we get criminals, which is code for Black Americans, then we can start making money again. The economic exploitation is not a byproduct for for the policy, it is the policy. First, they criminalize you, then they incarcerate you, then they profit from your labor. The criminal justice system creates jobs for correctional officers, judges, and lawyers. This is the formula. And it's not just the prison industrial complex. Look at the healthcare system, the housing system, the educational system, immigration enforcement. In every single area, there are corporations positioned for profit from human suffering. There are wealthy investors who benefit when regulations are removed, when protections are stripped away, when communities are destabilized. The descendants of American slaves, let me say this again, the descendants of slave owners built their wealth off the backs of our ancestors who were forced to leave Africa and come to the New World and build the United States of America. There is a reckoning coming to those who prioritize accumulation of wealth over humanity. No amount of wealth satisfies them. We're dealing with a group of people who have sold their souls for profit. This administration is not operating from a position of strength. They're operating from panic. They know their time is limited and the American empire will fall, just like Rome. They know the demographic shift are against them. They know the consciousness of African people are rising. So they're trying to extract as much as they can, as fast as they can before it all comes crashing down. Every overreach creates more resistance. Every injustice creates more consciousness. Every attack creates more solidarity. They're radicalizing people who are comfortable. They're waking up people who were asleep. They're unifying people who were divided. This corporation, this corruption, this evil, it doesn't just harm the victims, it eventually consumes those who perpetrate it. Their system of white supremacy was built on injustice that cannot stand indefinitely. The Trump administration is causing issues with the international community as it pertains to tariffs. This is why many foreign countries have created BRICS, which is an intergovernment intergovernmental organization comprising of 10 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now it includes Egypt, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Iran, and the urban Arab Emirates. They don't want America to dominate over their economy. As a matter of fact, they want to create their own money system to compete against the American dollar. My message to Black Americans and to all oppressed peoples listening to this audio podcast: please help get my revised book on that bestsellers list so that the Black world would take our cause serious, and also those that lives here within the United States of America. Um, I would say like-minded Black Americans and like-minded African immigrants beyond Chicago, please consider joining my film project team, so that way we can work together to help raise funds for this film project and get this film project fully funded and made. The sooner we're able to do that, the sooner I can be in a better position financially to purchase property here in the city of Chicago, buy office equipment, hire qualified Black middle class professionals, and qualified African immigrants in the city of Chicago. So that way we have a physical building to go to. We don't have to just be on a computer. I'm grateful for this opportunity, to have a global audience. But like I say, I want us to be able to make real impact in the African American community. So that way we can replicate the business and expand it to 10 African nations, starting in South Africa. Um, okay. Um, I gotta figure out where. Okay, so all right. So please consider joining GRCAM and let's build GRCAM Chicago so that we can expand it to the African continent. Those who want to remain in a burning house, let them burn. We can't build with paranoid people. Don't let their chaos dictate your strategy. Be watchful, be prayerful, and be prepared. Let's build and strengthen our communities, educate our children, and support Black-owned businesses. This is the work for the season. The billionaire class worships money, and money is their God, and that love has made them wage evil against us. But their love for money is also their weakness. The real losers are not those who lack wealth. The real losers are those who have wealth but have lost their souls in the process of acquiring it. Watch them scramble. Watch them overreach, but don't let their chaos become your chaos. The attacks will continue. The policies will get worse. The suffering will intensify, but so will the resistance. So will the preparation for what comes after this dark chapter ends. Every empire built on injustice will eventually crumble. Every system rooted in oppression will eventually collapse. This is the pattern of world history. Hold on, family. Stay strong. Stay faithful. Stay blessed. The communities we build, the values we maintain, the faith we nurture, the resistance we organize, these will carry us through and beyond this moment. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Our second topic, corporations are at war with Black Americans. It is said that Black Americans as a collective have $2 trillion spending power in our community every year, but we give away 97% of that to other groups and corporations. This is important for us to understand what it means for us. Dr. Claude Anderson said Black Americans are at the bottom of the totem pole economically. So when we so when you hear that we have a $2 trillion spending power, but we give 97% of that away to the oppressor, and then we whine about what the oppressor does to us. For example, if we were to boycott a retail store, it will be affected. Our spending means major national retails would see a noticeable drop in sales. Now, culturally, Black consumers are key drivers of trend setters in areas like digital content, streaming services, music, and fashion, as well as beauty products. When Black Americans boycott Target, they've lost almost $13 billion. Their CEO was fired. So if we can do that with Target, then we can do it with anybody. Where there's pressure put on corporations, the corporation will put pressure on politicians because they do a lot of lobbying for them. These corporations know that Black consumers ain't going to do much of anything. Black Americans are out here patronizing companies like Target, um, but Target laid off 300 Black workers a few weeks ago. We're loyal to name brand companies that don't support our community. Wake up, family. We're financing our own oppression, but refuse to embrace my vision and plan to help improve our situation in America. Make that make sense. We need to stop spending our money with these mega corporations, period. These corporations cannot stand Black Americans. They tolerate us during Black History Month and pretend they care. They display Juneteenth merchandise and maybe hire a Black celebrity to do a commercial. And after Black History Month, it's business as usual. They are denying us promotions, paying us less than anyone else on the job, and treat us like we're disposable rags. Yet Black Americans continue shopping with them. Every time a corporation need to restructure, they use us as the face of the company in order to look inclusive. For example, tech companies has mass layoffs like Google, Amazon, um, Microsoft, and Meta, all cutting tens of thousands of jobs. And when you do the research, look at who's getting cut. It's Black Americans. Diversity initiatives they brag about are now gone. the Black engineers, the Black project managers, and the Black recruiters they hire are now gone. Meanwhile, the executives, the board members, and the leadership who are getting richer every quarter. They're getting bonuses while Black people are being laid off left and right. And it's not just tech, it's retail, healthcare, hospitality, industry, education, and every single sector. Walmart, the company that makes billions in profits every year, are now cutting workers left and right. The federal government is encouraging this. The same government that's supposed to serve all Americans is out here laying off black federal workers in record numbers. We're talking about people who dedicated their careers to public service, who did everything right, who got degrees, who showed up every day, and they're being rewarded with layoffs. The DEI office shuts down. The programs designed to ensure equal opportunity defund defunded protections that were supposed to keep this from happening script away. They assume that they're going to continue spend that we're they assume that we're, meaning black people, is going to continue spending money with these companies, keep putting money in their pockets. That's crazy for real. But that's what a lot of black Americans do. You keep funding these people. Let some of that money come this way. Like I say, the sad thing about all of this, the dope man has more support from the black community than me. And he's the one destroying the community. Let me get back to my presentation. Um, that's funding your own oppression. And I'm tired of watching my people being the laughing stock of America. Here Here's what I need Black Americans and the global African family to understand. Every dollar you spend is a vote. Every purchase you make, you are saying, quote, I support this and I approve of how you operate, unquote. We're voting for our own disrespect. We're voting for our own economic extinction. It takes effort, it takes sacrifice, but we can do it. And more importantly, we have to do it for the sake of our children. GRCAM members have to build the kind of Chicago, just like our ancestors built Black Wall Street. For those of you who don't know the history of Black Wall Street, it was the Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the early 1900s. Our ancestors, descendants of American slaves slash freedmen, built thriving, sufficient black community. They had their own black banks, their own black grocery stores, their own black hotels, their own black theaters, their own black hospitals, their own black schools. Basically, their own black everything. Our people were wealthy, prosperous, and independent. And you know what happened? The white supremacist financial elites felt a certain way about the whole thing and decided to make up an excuse to justify burning down the whole town by claiming a black man raped a white woman. In 1921, a mob of white people destroyed the whole town. Over 300 dead, thousands left homeless. They even dropped bombs from airplanes on black citizens because we had the audacity to be successful without their support. And that's how come I'm just saying. I mean, we could, you know, that's how come I want to get the business popping here, like I say, um, for an example for our youth, so we can pass the cam down to the next generation. But also I want to expand it to the African continent because they need it. The, the unemployment rate is high in South Africa. And so I want to bring the business there, and I believe it will be successful. But that's how come I'm trying to get African immigrants that's already here in America to come. The book is fine. Purchase the book so that way you'll have an idea what this is, and then like I say, work with me to get this film project to get fully funded and made, so that way I can do my job and I can move from behind the computer. That's all I'm saying. Uh, so yeah, that's what happened. Um, you know, the whole, not just burn it down, they bombed it, which is horrible. And we're able to you know, talk about this history because it was an oral history. It's not in the written textbooks. You won't learn about this in school because it was whitewash. So our success is a threat to their system of white supremacy. They didn't destroy the knowledge and the spirit of entrepreneurship. We didn't just survive, we thrive. I'm not here to complain. I'm here to recruit like minded, brave, and smart Black Americans beyond Chicago, like minded, brave, and smart African immigrants across the United States of America. Please purchase my revised book, read my story for yourself, and work with me. Work with me to get this business up and running. But first, let us turn this book into a film so that way we can reach the Black masses, and also so that way I can be in a position to hire you. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Um, so we want to reach the Black masses and the Black world to let them know who we are and what we're trying to do for our people that's trapped in American ghettos, starting in Chicago. We want Black world to know that we plan on competing against Pan-Africanism, and that's real. Plan to build the best African American business within the United States. And like I say, that would be the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago for credibility before we replicate the business to 10 African nations. I recommend that you keep a track record of um, your spending habits and what you're spending your money on. Look over your bank statements, your credit card statements every month. I guarantee you, most of it is going towards corporations. Then ask yourself, is there a Black owned alternative? 90% of the time, there is. All American citizens have been programmed to believe that these big corporations are the only options. Let's break that cycle. For example, let's look at clothing. We have Black designers, Black owned online stores. Please stop shopping. Stopping. Please stop shopping with these well-known fashion designers that are using slave labor. Consider investing in quality material goods from Black-owned businesses. Yes, it might cost you more money up front, but you're building wealth in your own community. Now let's look at banking. If your money is sitting with Wells Fargo's or Bank of America, they have a documented history of discriminating against Black customers. Please consider moving your money to a Black-owned bank or a Black-owned credit union. They exist and they're FDIC insured, just like the big banks. Prioritize Black owned business, uh, prioritize Black owned platforms and Black content creators. Please stop making other groups get rich off of our content about our culture while we get crumbs. The goal is to get Black people and African people to a point where at least 80% of your spending is going towards the African American community. Right now, we're nowhere near that. As soon as we get paid, we immediately go spend it at corporations that don't employ us, don't respect us, and don't invest in our neighborhoods. That has to stop. We're paying for a business owner who's trying to build something productive for the African American community. That's what I'm trying to do here. Building generational wealth is not going to be easy. That's the price of economic independence. Black Americans that choose comfort over community. And I get it. Change is hard, but staying where we are is dangerous. This system is designed to extract wealth from the African American community and redistribute that wealth to all these other groups and corporations. That's not by accident, that's done by design. And the only way to break that cycle is for CAM members to build Cacao Chicago and expand the business to the African continent. We have to make a decision to prioritize our own economic survival over convenience. Black Americans, again, as a collective, have $2 trillion in spending power. That's more than the GDP of an entire country. If we redirect even half of that back into Black owned businesses, we would be an economic force that nobody could ignore. We would have the capital to fund our own Black businesses, buy property, invest in our education, and build infrastructure. We would be self sufficient, but we're not doing that. We're giving that $1 trillion to corporations and other groups who donate to politicians that work against our interests. We're enriching companies that lobby for policies that harm us. Again, we're funding our own oppression and wonder why nothing has changed. Imagine wealth staying in our community, being able to invest in home ownership, in our education, and our health care. The question is, do you want to see Black America win, or do you want to just talk about the issues? Because if you are serious about seeing Black America win, then it starts with where you spend your money. Every dollar is a choice. Choose us, choose your community, choose economic independence over corporate convenience. We're not going to wait for them to decide we're worthy of their treatment. We're going to build our own economy, support our own businesses, and create our own wealth. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share it with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Our third topic, colonizers found Julius Malema guilty. He faced 15 years. Will Black South Africa allow it? I came across a video clip from Rise Up Kiore, a YouTube channel entitled, quote, They Wanted Him Jailed for 15 Years. Julius Malema and Abraham Traore defy the empire, unquote. To watch the full video, just go to my Medium transcript located in the comment section below this audio podcast. Click on the link, then scroll down to show and prove. Ever since Europeans stepped foot on the African continent, Africa has been going through hell. They colonized Africa and enslaved my ancestors and brought them to the New World to help them build up their economy. They looted resources and stole our land for centuries. Now, in 2025, all of that bloodshed and sacrifice, they wanted to lock up a Black South African for defending his people, while the former colonizers who created apartheid never spent any prison time. Tell, tell me, is that freedom or is that the same system with a new name? We're talking about Julius Malema. He's the founder of EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters. His story is about whether Black South Africans are truly free or if They're still trapped under a system that was imposed on them by the former colonizers. On October 1st, 2025, Julius Malema was found guilty of firearm violations from 2018. For 7 years, this case dragged on. 7 years of hearings, paperwork, and delays. 7 years of watching the state throw resources into silencing one of the loudest voices of Black economic empowerment. During President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa meeting with President Donald Trump, all of a sudden, this old case comes alive again. The court found Julius Malema guilty and he could face 15 years in prison. 2018 rally where he fired a gun into the air at a political celebration. Nobody was hurt, nobody was injured, but the state says his action deserves a sentence hardish than that than what those apartheid criminals did when they I got to say this again, sorry. Um, but the state said his action deserves a sentence harsher than what those apartheid criminals did, which they never went to prison. Don't tell me that's a coincidence. Don't insult our intelligence. That's not law, that's politics. That's a system being manipulated to break one man and send a political message to millions. The West love to paint Julius Malema as a dangerous radical. They show old video clips of him singing liberation songs like, quote, Kill the Boer, the anti apartheid song. Elon Musk assumes white genocide. He is pushing the narrative that Julius Malema is calling for violence. But let's set the record straight. South Africa's own constitutional court has already ruled that those songs are part of South Africa's liberation heritage. They are songs of resistance, not instructing instructions for violence. The court in his country, not America, not Europe, they have made that clear. But the Trump administration doesn't care. That's foreign interference. Let's not forget what happened in Cape Town, Eastern Cape in 2018. Julius Malema fired shots into the air with a weapon his bodyguard gave him. Who gets punished? Julius Malema. Who gets acquitted? His bodyguard. If that's not selective justice, then I don't know what is. This whole trial sat in the background for years. Then Trump decided to put his finger on the scale, embarrassing Ramaphosa, calling Malema an extremist, demanding action. After 7 years, they rushed to a conviction. That's not just law, that's a message. And here's the truth. 1994 didn't free Black South Africans. It just switched change. Back then, the change were obvious. No vote, no land, no power. Today, the change are invisible. Endless debt, laws written to keep the white supremacist financial elites wealthy and continue to keep Black South Africans poor and begging for scraps. When someone like Julius Malema demand those chains to be broken, all of a sudden the courts know how to move. Western media will never give you the full breakdown. They want you to view Julius Malema as a madman, dangerous and out of control. But when you look closer, you see how carefully this trial was set up to send a political message. In 2018 at the EFL fifth anniversary celebration in Eastern Cape. Julius Malema fired into the air. It's a political rally. His bodyguard provided the weapon. His bodyguard was charged too. But look at what happened. He walked free. Julius Malema gets hammered with 5 counts: unlawful possession of a firearm, un- unlawful possession of ammunition, discharging a firearm in a building up area, and reckless endangerment. Two people, same situation, but only one person is paying the price. A political leader who is calling for land redistribution without compensation. Inter, um, nationalization of the gold mines and diamond mines, and economic empowerment for Black South Africans. Tell me that's not bias. Trump does not care about the facts. He's only interested in protecting white capital, white land ownership, and preserving white supremacy in South Africa. That isn't just about Trump. Afro Afroform. What is Afroform? Afroform is a South African non-governmental organization which focuses on the interests of Afrikaners, a subgroup of the country's white population. Af- Afroform has been described as a white nationalist, alt-right, and white supremacist hate group. They have been taking Julius Malema to court for years over the Kill the Boer song. And each time they lose, they keep they keep harassing him. Their plan is to distract him, bog him down in court. They they got conservative media worldwide ready to spread propaganda about South Africa being unsafe for white people. But yet they don't want to leave. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear that. They're they've got billionaires like Elon Musk amplifying lies about white genocide. They got the political party called Democratic Alliance. They love to use white victimhood stories to cover for maintaining economic control over South Africa's natural resource and land. So, what are we really seeing with Julius Malema guilty verdict? Local white interest groups working hand in hand with international white supremacists to silence a black South African leader who refused to stay quiet. We're seeing how easily South African sovereignty can be bent when foreign powers apply pressure. And we're seeing a black government ANC too timid to push back. This isn't just law enforcement, this is political warfare disguised in courtrooms and verdicts. It's the same system that once jailed Nelson Mandela and a host of other South African freedom fighters. Shout out to South African freedom fighters who fought against apartheid, including such leaders as Nelson Mandela, Wendy Mandela, Walter Sis Sislu, forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, and Oliver Campbell, as well as activist Steve Biko and Helen Sir Suzman. Different decades, same playbook. Now let's talk about the ANC because while it's easy to point at Trump, Afroform, and the courts, the truth is the ANC allowed all this to happen. They opened the door, they handed over the keys. The ANC was supposed to be the party of liberation, the party of Nelson Mandela, Olive Olive Campbell. and ones who stood against apartheid. But today they are more worried about keeping white capital comfortable than defending the very people who put them in office. Look at how Ramaphosa handled Trump in Washington. He did not defend Julius Malema's constitutional rights. He did not defend South Africa's sovereignty. He distanced himself. He looked down. He let Trump run the room. That wasn't leadership. That was weakness. I believe Afroforum members who went to America should be banned and arrested for treason. The ANC has become the gatekeepers of white comfort, not the champion of black liberation. Even though black South Africans make up 80% of the population, they live like a minority in their own country. Let's be honest. 1994 gave black South Africans the vote, but not the wealth. It gave black face in black faces in high places, the government, but not black control over the economy. Whoever controlled the economy controlled the land. Black South Africans are given the same mess that Black Americans get from our Black politicians. A lot of symbolism, like parades, ceremonies, and inspirational speeches, but no economic tangibles like the land, the mines, the money. They're still locked out in the hands of the few, the white minority who only make up 7% of the population, but still controls 80% of the land, which is still dominated by the descendants of colonizers. That's not right. And that's why I'm led to come to South Africa to create jobs for Black South Africans who become Gurkha members once I'm able to get Gurkha Chicago up and running in America first for credibility. Black South Africans, let me holler at you for a moment. You all should have elected Julius Malema as president, but you did not. And now these white supremacists is jumping at the chance of taking back the government from you. And once that happens, then South Africa will be lost forever. They want South Africa to become the new Israel, and we as black people and African people need to fight for our Africa. God did not create Africa for the white man. It was given to us from God. Our land, our resources. If you want to live among us, if they want to live among us, they must embrace African culture and African rulership. We must also, they must also pay a reparation tax for colonization and enslavement for descendants of American slaves slash freedmen. Global African family, please hear me loud and clear. If we lose Africa, we lose everything. If a foreign leader can whisper in the ear of your president and all of a sudden, one of the loudest voices for economic freedom is facing 15 years in jail, then what kind of sovereignty do you have? What kind of independence is that? The ANC is complacent. They are so desperate to look respectable to Western investors that they will sell out their own people. Sad. Hey, they do that over here too. So don't feel bad. They are so desperate to keep foreign investors smiling that they will muzzle anyone who talks too loudly about land redistribution without compensation. They are so desperate to sit at the global table that they will let our people eat crumbs at home. You have leaders who will protect the rand more than they protect the poor. Leaders who talk um, transformation but practice appeasement. This is why Julius Malema conviction is not just about him. The question is South Africa, a sovereign nation, or are they under control of their former colonizer. The ANC will all tell you all that you're free. They will point to the Constitution. They'll point to the flag. They'll point to Parliament. But real freedom isn't symbols. Real freedom is owning the land. Real freedom is wealth. Real freedom is sovereignty. Black South Africans endured torture, imprisonment, because they refused to bow to oppression by European invaders. Chris Hanning was gunned down because he believed real freedom meant economic justice, not just political seats. Steve Biko was beaten to death because he taught Black South Africans to love themselves. Solomon was hung. He said before he was hung, quote, my blood will not, my quote, my blood will nourish this tree of freedom before he died, unquote. What would they say if they saw South Africa today? They would say if they saw a so-called free South Africa where a foreign president whisper and suddenly one of your loudest freedom fighters is on trial. What would they say if they saw a Black majority still begging for scraps from the table from the former colonizers three decades after apartheid? This guilty verdict against Julius Malema is not about firearms. It is about power. It is about sending a political message. Stay in your place. And for those who dare to raise their voice about land distribution without compensation, wealth, and justice, this isn't about one man. This is about South Africa's sovereignty. This is about whether the Black majority can govern their own destiny or whether they're still being managed by laws, courts, and economic systems created by the former colonizers who wrote the Firearms Control Act, who created the courts, who created the very system that still judges today. The same people who once declared Black South Africans liberation songs hate speech, the same people who stole the land and obtained their wealth off of South Africa's dispossession, the same people who grandchildren receive generational wealth from stolen land and resources. They are living in luxury while Black South Africans live in shacks. And now those same laws, those same courts are being used to make an example of Black South Africans who dare to speak out against the double standard and hypocrisy of these people. Political power without economic power is fake freedom. That voting rights without land rights is symbolism. Black faces in high places mean nothing if white supremacist financial elites still hold the keys to the vote. This conviction is a test of us as a people. If they can bend the system to break him, they can bend it to break us too. He he's facing more time than apartheid leaders who never went to prison. That's not justice. That's selective punishment. Your ancestors didn't die for this. They didn't bleed so that Western powers could continue dictating your politics. They didn't sacrifice what sacrifice so white lobbyists could decide who is acceptable and who is not. They fought so that they could be free, fully free. And freedom means more than flags and parades. Freedom means land in the hands of Black South Africans. Freedom means wealth in the hands of the Black majority. Freedom means never asking colonizers for permission to exist on soil that carries our ancestors' bones. I stand with Julius Malema not because I agree with his tactics, but because I refuse to let colonizers decide which Black voices are acceptable. I refuse to let white capital dictate who can lead. The revolution didn't end in 1994, it shifts gears. And this conviction is a wake up call. Either we rise or we accept being managed forever. Some CAM members ask me which state should they reside in for safety purposes. I explain to them that in blue states, there are well, they are ran by Democrats. They have more social safety nets, higher offer higher wages and a bit more investment in public services, which is a plus. On the other other hand, red states which are ran by Republicans, they tend to have lower taxes and lower cost of living, which can be a plus for Black Americans. Now, lifestyle wise, blue states offer more diversity in urban areas and more progressive policies, which can sometimes mean a stronger sense of community. Whereas red states tend to have a different vibe, more suburban or rural comfort and a slower pace of life. In terms of safety, it varies city by city rather than just by state. Some blue states have stricter gun laws and different policy approaches. Ultimately, it depends on what you value more, whether it's economic opportunities, a certain kind of community, or particular policies. African American communities have a long history of grassroots organizing, building local alliances, and creating our own networks like Black owned businesses, developing community safety initiatives, and creating local political coalitions that advocate for policies that protects and uplift our interests. We have to get more engaged in local politics. We need to start electing our own candidates from the Black grassroots who are actually going to stand up for the community. It's about making sure that our voices are heard loud and clear in City Hall. We have to create our own cooperative economies and really practice group economics. All of these steps can help our community and neighborhoods push back against those systems that are trying to marginalize us. It's not easy, but it's about tapping into that long legacy of resilience and turning it in modern times. Strategic voting can be a real game changer when communities that have historically been marginalized come together and vote with a clear strategy. They can absolutely shift the political landscape. A mobilizing voting bloc can make a huge difference in the outcome. It comes down to participation. If more people get involved and vote in ways that align with our interests, then they can create real change. They can create real political leverage, and that leverage can lead to political change that reflects the need of the community. First, I believe we should start with community organizing and education. You can't really move forward without making sure that everyone understands the issues and the power they hold. The first step is about building the local awareness and making sure that everyone is on the same page. Secondly, strategic voting and local politics. Local politics is where a lot of change happens. In this stage, the plan is about identifying key races, supporting candidates who represent the community's interests, and getting people out to vote in a coordinate, coordinated way. Thirdly, Black economic empowerment through supporting Black owned businesses. This is about circulating the Black dollar within the community and building an economic base. The stronger the local economy, the more leverage the community has. Fourth, building community safety nets and support systems. And that can mean everything from community patrols to local mutual aid groups. Ways to ways to take care of each other, and reduce reliance on institutions that might not have the community's interests at heart. And fifth, amplifying voices and narratives. Media representation and storytelling are powerful. It's about making sure that the community's own narratives are heard, whether it's through local media, social media, or other platforms that can help shape the narrative. So, those five things: community education, strategic voting, Black economic empowerment, community support networks, and controlling the narrative. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Thank you for joining us on this podcast, for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Be sure to click the subscribe button and the like button. If you see a survey and they ask you that you like the stream, say yes, I liked it. It's educational. Give us a good rating because those ratings help recommend more content. That's the new YouTube. They're they are doing surveys now. So please give us a good rating. Again, thank you for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Put me on blast by telling all of your friends and family to listen to our content on our YouTube page. I'm going to send a challenge out to everybody that's listening to this audio podcast. I need you all to support our film project. I need all hands on deck so that we can move beyond cyberspace and get our story on the big screen to let the Black world know who we are and what we're trying to do for our people that's trapped in American ghettos. Quote, Hood Liberator. Made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins, unquote. You can be a part of this historic docudrama by contributing to our campaign either on our GoFundMe page or our PayPal Giving Fund page or our buy me a coffee page. If you are a U.S. citizen, then I recommend that you use our PayPal Giving Fund page as a tax write-off because this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit faith-based community advocacy organization. You can also purchase items from our virtual store or purchase my revised book. The ebook is $9.99. The softcover book is $15 plus shipping and handling. We appreciate your support. You can find all of the links below this audio podcast in the comments section. Thank you for listening to our um, YouTube Live or the replay. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing. I want to thank all of you for listening to our audio podcast on Spotify. If you are new to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast, welcome to our safe space where we discuss Black issues and African issues. We do this every week. This will conclude our audio podcast for today. We will see you on the next episode. Peace and blessings. And again, that's going to conclude our podcast for today.